It was past midnight when I got a call from my wife Lena's father, Robert. He sounded panicked. Her mother, Marianne, had been in a car accident. He needed me to bring money to the hospital, fast. I rushed into the bedroom, still clutching my phone. "Lena, my mom's been in a crash," I said breathlessly. "She needs emergency care, but we don't have enough cash on hand. Could we use the wedding fund your parents gave us, for now, just to get her through the night?" Lena shot upright like she'd been slapped. "Absolutely not. That fund is for our wedding. Why should your mom's accident mean I lose my wedding?" I stared at her, stunned. "Lena, she could die. This isn't about convenience, it's life or death." She rolled her eyes and crossed her arms. "Then get a loan. Or call your own family. Just leave my wedding out of it." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You care more about a pile of cash than someone's life?" She glared at me. "If you insist on using it, I want it in writing, right now. A signed statement saying no matter how much you use, you'll pay it all back. Every penny." I froze. That fund was originally from my parents. They'd scraped it together to help us start our life after the wedding. And now I was begging to use it to save her mother, yet somehow, I still owed her. But Lena didn't budge. Her expression was deadly serious, completely blind to the fact that every second we wasted could cost her mother her life. She marched off to the study and came back with a pad of paper and a pen. "Write it down," she said firmly. "Put it in writing that today you used my wedding fund to pay for the hospital, and that you guarantee it'll be paid back in full." I looked at her in disbelief. "Lena, this is your mom. We're family. Can you please stop this?" She cut me off, her voice rising. "No, you stop. That fund is my safety net for our future. And the first thing you do in a crisis is reach for my money? What if you never pay it back? If you really cared about me, you'd take out a loan or find another way. You don't just blow through what's meant to protect me." I shook my head, unable to understand. "But it's your mother. How can you be so heartless?" Tears welled up in her eyes. Then they started falling, fast. "You're manipulating me," she said through sobs. "You're trying to guilt me into choosing between my mom's life and my future. That's not fair. You could find another way. You could get a loan. You just don't want to." I was trembling with rage. "Why should I have to write some kind of promissory note?" I demanded. She shouted back, "Then have your dad write it. He's the one who should be responsible. His wife's in an accident, why should our wedding fund be the first thing he goes for?" I clenched my fists, struggling to stay calm. "Fine," I snapped. "I'll write it now. Once we're at the hospital, I'll have my dad sign it." Only then did Lena nod, satisfied. Lena was still hunched over the table, solemnly writing out the IOU like it was a business transaction. That's when my phone rang again. It was Robert. I knew exactly why he was calling. He was panicking, waiting on us to bring money to the hospital. I picked up. "Where's the money?" Robert shouted the second I answered. "Just wire me a few $1,000s to get things started." I turned to Lena. "It's urgent. Can't we just send the money first? I remember you've got some savings, right?" She snapped. "Absolutely not. Not until we finish the paperwork. What if he never pays it back?" There was a beat of stunned silence on the line. Then Robert said, slowly, in disbelief, "Is that my daughter talking? What is she even saying, pay it back? What the hell is she talking about?" I didn't know how to soften it. So I told the truth. "Don't be mad, Dad, she's writing an IOU. She's worried you won't repay the money later." He didn't respond right away. Then, after a few seconds, his voice came back, tight and shaky with rage. "She's writing an IOU, right now? While her mother's fighting for her life? I nodded, swallowing hard. Yeah. She wants it signed before we send anything. And then Robert lost it. His voice exploded through the phone, cracking from emotion. That cold-blooded, heartless piece of. His shouting was so loud Lena heard every word. Lena suddenly stopped writing. She stormed over and snatched the phone right out of my hand, her face red with fury. "Who the hell are you calling a piece of trash?" she screamed into the phone. "You arrogant old bastard. You can't even pay your own wife's medical bills, and now you're yelling at me? You know what? I'm done. I'm not lending a single damn cent." Before I could react, she hurled the phone at the floor with all her strength. It hit the tile with a crack that sounded final. I scrambled to pick it up, but the screen was shattered, and worse, it had gone completely black. No response. It was dead. Lena was trembling from head to toe, still seething. "He has the nerve to yell at me," she snapped. Screeching like some damn duck, so shrill I thought my ears were gonna bleed. Just then, her own phone rang. I glanced at the screen. The caller ID said simply, "Dad." Same label she used for both Robert and my father. Lena picked up the phone and let out a bitter laugh. "What now? Round 2? She declined the call with a tap and turned to me, her voice sharp as ice. "He started it. He insulted me first. I'm done. Go borrow money from someone else. But stay the hell away from my safety net. I can't believe you won't help." I broke down, my voice raw. "She's your mother. If you turn your back on her now, that's criminal." Lena crossed her arms, face tight with resentment. "Don't throw the law at me. I only filed for a marriage license with you, we're not even legally married yet. The law can't touch me. And let me tell you something, if you keep pushing me like this, I swear I'll end it. I'll walk." I inhaled sharply, stunned. "Lena, are you serious right now?" I said, my voice hollow. "How many times do I have to say it? It's your mother. Your own mother." She blinked, caught off guard for a split second, then narrowed her eyes and let out a cold laugh. "Nice try. So now you're pretending it's my mom, just to guilt me into paying? What's next, huh? You gonna fake a death certificate too?" Her voice grew sharper. "If that really was my dad and mom at the hospital, you expect me to believe Robert called me a heartless bitch? You think I'm that stupid?" I didn't have time for her spiral. My mother's life was on the line. I knew Lena's bank card password, I didn't care about the consequences anymore. I grabbed her wallet and made for the door. But Lena panicked. She lunged at me, grabbing the card and trying to yank it from my hand. I resisted, holding it tight. And then she did the unthinkable. She dropped her head and sank her teeth into my arm. "Jesus, Lena!" I shouted in agony, jerking away. She bit down hard. I let go. The pain was unbearable. When I looked, there was a deep red mark swelling fast on my skin. I staggered back, clutching my arm. She clutched the card like it was her last lifeline, retreating into a corner. Her breathing was heavy. Her eyes full of hatred. Seeing the fury rising behind my eyes, Lena's voice turned venomous. "Look at you, resorting to grabbing the damn thing. Of course it's your mother, Evelyn. You're not even trying to hide it anymore. If it were Mary Ann, would you be this desperate, this violent?" I shot back, "If you don't believe me, then call Robert and ask him yourself." She laughed bitterly. "You think I'm that stupid? You want me to call him so the two of you can gang up on me and guilt me into caving? Let him shout at me again, like I'm some heartless villain? Hell no. You're not telling them anything." Her voice was rising now, unhinged, furious. Then, suddenly, she reached for the desk and grabbed a pair of scissors. She pointed them straight at the bank card. "No!" I shouted instinctively, panicking. Her eyes locked on mine, sharp with suspicion. She didn't move, but she didn't lower the scissors either. "Listen to me," I said quickly, trying to keep my voice steady. "That account was set up just for the wedding fund, remember? I was with you at the bank when we opened it. We never activated online transfers. If you cut that card, we won't be able to access the money tonight. Not even if we tried." Lena didn't flinch. "Maybe that's exactly what I should do," she said coldly. "The moment that old bastard called me selfish, he made it clear he sees me as nothing but a human ATM." My composure cracked. "He's your father," I shouted. Lena exploded. "He is not my father. He's a petty, manipulative old bastard. He can't pay his wife's medical bills, so now he's trying to con me into covering for his failure. And you," she jabbed the scissors toward me, "you're no better. You're both in this together. You're both trying to scam me." And then, before I could stop her, she made her move. With one final snap of the blades, she sliced the card clean in two. A jagged crack echoed through the room that I watched helplessly as the last hope, our only way to access the money, was severed in two. I sank into the couch, limp, hollow, unable to breathe. "It's over," I murmured, staring at the ruined card. "It's all over." Lena scoffed. "Go visit your mom yourself," she snapped. "I'm not going with you. And honestly, what's there to panic about? The law says doctors have to treat emergency patients. It's their job." I looked up at her, desperate, my voice breaking. "Yeah, they'll start treatment. They'll keep her heart beating. But if there's no money in that account, they won't use the right meds. They won't bring in better equipment. No specialists. No long-term care. Even if they save her tonight, she could end up paralyzed, or worse. She could die days later just because we couldn't afford to keep her alive." Lena shrugged, completely unmoved. "Then why are you still standing here? Go beg someone else. Ask your friends. Ask your family. And by the way, I'm not marrying you." I froze. She wasn't marrying me? She just told me to go borrow money to save Marianne, then pulled this? I turned to her, stunned. "Why?" I asked quietly. "Why not get married?" She crossed her arms, like the answer was obvious. "Because God knows how much it'll cost to save that old woman. What if it turns into a bottomless pit? If we're married, I'm on the hook too. Spousal debt is joint debt, remember? I'm not going to let you ruin my life just because your mom needs saving." She paused, then added with finality, "I'm cutting my losses while I still can." I stared at her like I was seeing a stranger. "I just don't understand," I whispered. "How is helping save your mom, the thing that ruins your life?" Lena walked over and sat beside me, her tone softening. "Listen to me," she said earnestly. "Mom's already getting old. Maybe it's not the worst thing to just let her go." I turned to her slowly, stunned. "Do you even hear yourself right now?" She didn't flinch. "Don't look at me like that. I'm just being realistic. Think about it, getting into an accident bad enough to need emergency surgery? That kind of care doesn't come cheap. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, easily. What about our future? What about when we have kids? Are we just supposed to throw all that away, for an old woman who might not even survive the month?" Her words hung in the air like poison. And for a second, I hesitated. But then she added, almost casually, "I'll be honest with you, if her medical bills go over $300,000, I will divorce you. So let's not wait. We're not married yet. Let's just end this now." I felt the blood drain from my face. She said it like it was simple math. Like it made sense. Spend $300,000 to save her mom, only to lose Lena in the process, and end up alone, bankrupt, and broken. What would I have left? Then her phone buzzed again. It was Robert. He hadn't been able to reach her by phone, so now he was texting, and the messages were brutal. You ungrateful brat. You've got money but you'd rather let your own mother die. You're worse than an animal. I raised you and now you ask me to sign a loan agreement to save my wife? Send the money now, or I swear you'll regret this for the rest of your life. Lena let out a long sigh. She didn't open the texts. Instead, she turned her phone around and showed me the notifications on her screen. Do you see how he talks to me? She said coldly. Do you see the way he threatens me? I tried to defend him, weakly. He's just upset. He's not thinking straight. Lena shook her head, her voice flat and final. He's not my father anymore, she said. Not after this. From now on, he's just some disgusting old man I never want to see again. I couldn't talk to her anymore. There was nothing left to say. Robert's messages made it clear, he was panicking, desperate. This was life or death now, and time was slipping through our fingers. I picked up Lena's phone and asked, can I use this to call someone else? Maybe a relative or a friend, to borrow money? She barely looked at me. Do whatever you want. But like I said, we're not legally married. We don't share debt. If you take on something huge, don't expect me to stick around. We split clean. I nodded silently and started scrolling through her contacts. Eventually, I found the name of her best friend. I was about to tap call, but before I could, Lena lunged and snatched the phone from my hands. She stared at the screen in disbelief. Who are you calling? She asked, her voice tight. Your best friend, I said. I thought maybe she could help. Her face flushed with rage. Are you out of your mind? Why the hell would you call my best friend to borrow money? You don't have your own damn family or friends? I kept my voice even. You smashed my phone, remember? I don't have any way to reach my people. This is the only option I have right now. She looked at me like I'd just spat in her face. You're unbelievable, she hissed. You're disgusting. I stared at her, stunned. Disgusting? For trying to save my mother? She wasn't done. My mom might be dying, she snapped, but that doesn't give you the right to drag my friends and family into your mess. You think it's okay to taint their lives just because yours is falling apart? I took a deep breath. Lena, stop. Your mother is on a hospital bed right now. She needs help. You need to help her. But she just laughed, cold and bitter. Wow. You've really got this all figured out, don't you? I blinked. What do you mean? She folded her arms, eyes narrowed. Brilliant move, she said. You pretend it's my mom. You pretend it's my responsibility. And now, when I say no, I'm the villain. You're not just after my money, you're after my reputation too. Lena glared at me like I was plotting her financial ruin. Oh, I get it now, she sneered. You know I won't give you my money, so instead, you're trying to borrow from my friends and family, so that I end up on the hook when you conveniently forget to pay them back. Then I'll be the one forced to use my wedding fund to clean up your mess. Isn't that the plan? I didn't even bother sugarcoating it anymore. Of course it is. I snapped. Why the hell should I repay your friends and relatives? You already said that fund is your security. Well, what the hell do you think a crisis is for? This is the time to use it. Bullshit, she shouted, her face flushed. That money is mine. My security, not yours, not your mom's, and definitely not for your half-assed bailout schemes. Then, shaking with rage, she grabbed her phone, opened the family iMessage group, and hit record. Her voice trembled with fury, but every word was sharp as a blade. "Everyone listen up," she snapped in the voice memo. "If he tries to borrow money from any of you for that old hag's surgery, don't lend him a dime. I won't pay it back. Not 1 cent. And I don't care whether she lives or dies, she's not my problem." She hit send. The group exploded. A new message popped up almost instantly. It was from her uncle, Dennis. "Are you even human?" Lena didn't hesitate. "Dennis," she typed furiously, "you don't know the full story. Don't go judging me like you're some moral authority. Did you know he's trying to drain my wedding fund to pay for this? Did you?" Dennis replied almost immediately. "So what? Use the damn fund. This is a life or death situation. Who gives a crap about some wedding when someone might die?" Lena saw red. "Oh, so now you think my money is up for grabs," she fired back. "Since when do I need your permission to decide what I do with my money?" And with that, without another word, she tapped into the chat settings and kicked Dennis out of the group. Just like that, she silenced him. Just then, another text popped up at the top of Lena's phone screen. It was from Robert. "I'm coming to your new place right now. You cold-blooded traitor. I swear to God, I'd rather kill you." Lena was still removing Dennis from the family chat when the notification flashed across the screen. She saw it. And completely snapped. Without hesitation, she pulled up the keypad and dialed 911. While the call connected, she turned to me, eyes blazing. "You saw that message, didn't you? He said he's coming here. He said he wants to kill me. I'm having that bastard arrested." My heart dropped. "Lena, don't, please. He's just angry. My mom is in surgery right now. If he gets detained, who's going to be there for her? Who's going to sign off on treatment? You'll leave her to die." She scoffed, shaking her head. "Don't you dare beg for him. You make me sick. I finally see you for what you are." She jabbed a finger at me as she spoke. "You're the kind of man who lets his wife be threatened. You let people scream at her, accuse her, insult her, and still, you take their side. I must have been blind to ever think marrying you was a good idea." I stood frozen. "What have I ever done to make you feel like this?" I asked, quietly. "When did I ever let you suffer?" She stepped closer, face twisted in fury. "Are you kidding me?" she yelled. "First, you try to steal my wedding fund. Then you go behind my back and try to borrow money from my friends. And when I say no, you act like I'm some villain. Now I'm being threatened, and you have the nerve to ask me not to call the cops?" She was so furious by the end, spit flew from her lips, landing on my face. But she didn't even notice. The emergency call connected. Lena didn't hesitate for a second. "Yes, hello," she said quickly, her voice tight with fear and fury. "I need to report a threat. Someone just texted me saying he wants to kill me. He's on his way to my house right now. Please send someone fast." She rattled off our address, her voice rising in urgency. The dispatcher replied immediately. "Ma'am, help is already on the way. Lock your doors, stay inside, and don't open the door until officers arrive. Do you understand?" Lena ended the call and set her phone down slowly. Then she let out a low, bitter laugh. "Lock the doors," she scoffed. "Not a chance. I want him to come. He's going to pay for threatening me." I stared at her, stunned. "What are you talking about?" She turned to me, eyes blazing with something dark and wild. "You saw that message, he said he'd kill me. I'm going to let that bastard barge in here, lay a finger on me, and the second he does, I'm filing assault charges. Medical report, police report, the whole 9 yards. He'll rot in prison." I stepped back, heart pounding. You're out of your mind. You're actually planning to send my dad to prison? She was shaking now, from adrenaline, rage, or both. Your dad, she barked. He's not my dad. And you never stood up for me, not once. From the start, you were always on their side. I regret ever agreeing to marry you. In fact, I'm not marrying you at all. She was shouting now, spit flying again. I'm keeping the wedding fund. Every damn cent of it. You want to fight me? Go sue me. I dare you. Take me to court. I stared at her, this person I once thought I knew, screaming, unhinged, dead set on destroying everything in her path. And for the first time, something inside me shifted. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was relieved. Because suddenly, I realized, thank God the one lying in that hospital bed tonight wasn't my mother, Evelyn. Because if it had been, if I had to rely on Lena to help, I don't even want to imagine how that would have ended. I clenched my jaw, every word tight with rage. Fine. First thing tomorrow, I'm filing a motion to freeze the wedding fund. That money stays locked until it's returned to me. Lena laughed. Not a nervous laugh. A cruel one. Oh, please. Go right ahead, she sneered. Your precious little mother's rotting in a hospital bed, and the one fund your whole family's depending on. Frozen. I swear, just picturing that makes me laugh. I stared at her, trying to comprehend what she found so funny. But it didn't matter anymore. Tonight, I'd finally seen Lena for who she truly was. I wouldn't marry a woman like this. And I sure as hell wouldn't go into debt for her. Luckily, I had one advantage. Her prenup. Before we even got close to setting a date, Lena had insisted I sign a prenuptial agreement. She'd even brought in a lawyer, my friend, Jordan, as a neutral third party. The document made one thing clear. If we got married, her assets stayed hers. But mine? She'd be entitled to half. Now she was walking away, before the wedding, thinking she still held the cards. She didn't. I picked up her phone and called Jordan. Hey, I said, keeping my voice firm. You've got all the files on us. The agreement, the disclosures, everything. I need your help. Draft an emergency motion. We're filing first thing in the morning. I want that account frozen before anyone touches a single cent. Lena looked up from the couch, eyebrows raised. When she realized I was serious, her tone turned mocking. Oh, now you're playing hardball, she said, grinning like it was a game. Great. Freeze it all. Better that than letting it be wasted on your dying mom. Honestly, it's hilarious. I glared at her. That's your mother on that hospital bed. Because to me, at this point, if Lena had walked away from the marriage, then Marianne wasn't my mother-in-law anymore. She was Lena's problem. Lena's smile vanished. Her face twisted. Watch your mouth, she snapped. If someone in your family is dying, fine, but don't you dare drag my mom into it. Don't you dare curse her like that. I didn't hold back. I've said it from the beginning, I shouted. It's your mother. She's the one who's dying. You son of a, she screamed. Shut that damn mouth or I'll rip it off. And then, she lost control. Lena lunged at me, eyes wild, teeth clenched, fists flying that I opened my mouth to speak, ready to remind her that it had always been Marianne who was in the accident, but I didn't get the chance. Lena was already on me. She lunged, grabbed a fistful of my face, and yanked. Then she jammed her phone against my mouth, forcing it between my lips, her voice shaking with fury. Say that again, huh? She growled through clenched teeth. Curse your own family if you want, but don't you dare bring mine into it. Marianne never did a damn thing to you. I couldn't speak. The phone was jammed against my teeth. And before I could shove her off, smack, she slapped me. Once. Twice. Hard and fast, like she was panicking, spiraling. No one had ever hit me before. Not even my parents. Not in my entire life. And something snapped inside me. Something deep. Something hot. Something that had been building from the second she said she wasn't returning the wedding fund. I grabbed a fistful of her hair, and slammed 2 punches into the side of her face. Hard. She staggered back, dazed. Her legs wobbled. For a second, it looked like she might fall. She stared at me like she couldn't believe what had just happened. "You hit me," she whispered. "You actually hit me?" I didn't flinch. "You hit me first. Why the hell shouldn't I hit back?" Her expression twisted, wild with fury. "Fine. Hit me again. Go ahead, really do it. Beat the hell out of me. Then I'll drag your ass to jail right next to your precious dad." She was crying now, full body sobs, but she kept coming at me. Logic was gone. Restraint was gone. She charged at me, flailing, swinging her arms, trying to claw at my face with her nails. But she couldn't land a hit. Every time she lunged, I pushed her off, hard, and she'd stumble backward, landing on her ass, hair in her face, fury in her eyes, hatred in her voice. But still, she kept coming. When she realized she couldn't overpower me physically, Lena turned to the only weapon she had left, her mouth. And she let it rip. "You pathetic excuse for a man," she screamed. "You brought this on yourself. You cursed your own damn family. No wonder your mother's rotting in a hospital bed, you deserve it." That was it. I stared her down, my voice cold and flat. "It's Marianne who's dying." Her eyes flared, and she lost it again. "Don't you dare say her name like that. Don't you dare curse her." She lunged again, but I caught her by the wrists this time, holding her arms in place before she could claw at me again. But Lena didn't stop. She screamed louder, fouler. Spitting out every vile word she could summon. "I hope she dies," she shrieked. "I'll pop a bottle of champagne tomorrow and celebrate." I was done. Absolutely, completely done. I stared at her, holding her wrists, as her venom kept spilling out. Then I spoke, voice steady but sharp. "You done?" I asked. "You screamed. You fought. You cursed my mother, my family, even your own. But let me ask you something, have you ever thought that maybe the selfish one here is you?" She didn't respond. Just glared. And then, in one last show of contempt, she spit something from her mouth. A piece of fabric. Underwear. I didn't even know when she'd stuffed it in there. Her eyes were wild, vicious. "You're the selfish one," she hissed. "You think I'd ever let you pay if it were Marianne in that hospital? I'd never drag your family down. I wouldn't let you lift a finger. I wouldn't ask for a cent." I stared at her, dumbfounded. "You're really saying this to me?" I asked quietly. "After everything?" She nodded, frantic with rage. "Yes. Because that's what real partners do. They protect each other. Not ruin each other. But you? You only care about what you can take. You've been clawing at my money from day one." I looked her in the eye. "I'll remember that," I said. And I meant it. And then, through the kitchen window, I saw it, headlights sweeping across the driveway, a car pulling into the lot. It was his car. Robert's. Lena caught the sight the same moment I did. She gasped, then grinned like a child promised revenge. "You're done," she shouted, eyes wide with adrenaline. "Robert's here. You are so screwed." I looked down through the window. Sure enough, Robert had stepped out of the vehicle, his face tight, jaw clenched. He looked up at our window. Lena yanked it open in a frenzy. Before I could even process what she was about to do, she leaned halfway out and screamed. "Come up here. Come on, Robert." Robert's eyes narrowed. He didn't respond right away, but his expression shifted. Whatever remaining restraint he had was gone. He didn't yell. He didn't curse. He just muttered, low and simmering. "Come down. Now. We need to talk." But Lena didn't want to talk. She wanted payback. "Get up here," she screamed again, waving her arms. "He hit me. He's a bastard. Come teach him a lesson." It was like pouring gasoline on fire. To Robert, her shout wasn't a cry for help, it was a challenge. And he took it. Without another word, he stormed into the building. Lena stepped back from the window, breathing heavily, victorious. "I knew it," she cried. "He saw the messages in the family group. He came because he cares. He came to protect me." She turned to me, eyes red from tears and fury, and shoved me hard in the chest. "You're dead," she sobbed. "You laid hands on me, and now my father is going to destroy you." She meant it. And part of me knew she was probably right. I hadn't expected Robert to come so quickly. Marianne was still in the hospital, barely hanging on. For Robert to leave her side in the middle of surgery, to race across town, fists clenched, heart on fire, I couldn't begin to imagine the fury that drove him here. But maybe this was for the best. Because now that he was here, I wouldn't need to lift another finger. Lena wasn't done. She wasn't just waiting for Robert, she was staging a scene. As she walked toward the door, she reached for anything within arm's reach and smashed it. A porcelain vase from the coffee table, shattered into jagged white fragments. The small shoe cabinet by the door, toppled, drawer ripped out and flung across the floor. She tore through the living room like a storm, leaving chaos in her wake, manufacturing a picture-perfect version of domestic violence. She even yanked at her own hair, musing it up so it looked like she'd been dragged through a war zone. Redness bloomed on her cheeks, not from bruises, but from frantic hands smearing tears and rage across her skin. And then she turned to me, eyes gleaming through the mess. "You're finished," she said, voice low and venomous. "You should have known better than to mess with a girl who has a father. I'm going to make sure you pay." She opened the front door. And then, shockingly, she knelt in the hallway. The elevator was still rising. Robert. He was on his way up. Lena stared at the floor counter like a performer waiting for her cue. As it approached our floor, she took a sharp breath, then wailed. Loud, guttural sobs, perfectly timed so they echoed straight into the elevator shaft. Right on cue, the elevator dinged. The doors slid open. Robert stepped out. His face was stone, pale, hard, unreadable. And there was his daughter, collapsed outside the apartment, crying uncontrollably. The second she saw him, Lena exploded into sobs. "Robert," she howled, like she was calling out to a god. "He hit me. Just because I wouldn't give him my wedding fund to save that dying old witch. He beat me." Then, with a single sentence, she shattered everything. "I refuse to marry him. He doesn't deserve it. I'd rather see that bitch die in that hospital bed, let her choke on despair." Robert froze. One hand clenched into a fist. That sentence, just one sentence, was all it took. But Robert, despite the red rage rising in his face, kept his head. At least for now. He didn't react to Lena's wailing or accusations. He locked eyes with me and said, voice tight with urgency, "Where's the wedding fund card?" I shrugged, breath shallow, still dazed by the chaos. "I tried to take it to the hospital," I said honestly. "But your daughter stopped me. She cut it in half." The account doesn't have online transfers enabled, there's no way to access the money tonight. That stopped him cold. Then he started moving, fast. Lena scrambled to stay in control of the narrative. She jabbed a finger toward me, still kneeling on the floor like the victim she'd cast herself to be. I had to fight him for that card, she cried. And thank God I did, I managed to grab it and cut it up before he could waste the money. She was winding up to say more, to continue her teary list of grievances, but she never got the chance. Robert's restraint shattered. With a roar of disgust, he lifted his foot and kicked, full force, right into her face. It landed hard. Lena had been mid-sob, completely unguarded. The impact sent her sprawling, her head slamming into the hardwood with a sickening crack. The entire apartment fell silent for a beat. She turned over slowly, dazed and pale, one hand pressed to her bleeding lip. Her eyes found Robert's, wide and trembling. "You hit me," she whispered, voice shaking. "You hit me?" Robert's face was a storm. His voice, when it came, was thunder. "Your mother is on a damn operating table," he bellowed. "Fighting for her life, and you're playing the helpless victim? Lying to everyone? Cutting the only access to money that could save her? You're nothing but a cold, heartless disgrace." Lena choked back a sob, scrambling to regain control. "She's his mother," she cried, pointing at me. "Not mine. Why should I be responsible for his family?" I stepped forward, no emotion left in my voice. "I've told you again and again," I said flatly. "It's Marianne. Your mother." Lena froze. The realization washed over her face like ice water. She hadn't just turned her back on someone else's parent. She had sentenced her own mother to die. Lena's voice began to shake. Her lips trembled as she turned toward Robert, eyes wide with disbelief. "Marianne was in the accident," she whispered. "Marianne's the one in surgery right now." She fumbled for her phone, hands trembling, and pulled up the text messages. The notifications had only shown the saved contact name, Dad. But when she tapped into the thread, the number appeared clearly beneath it. Her face drained of color. It was you?" she asked, stunned. "All this time, it was you texting me?" Robert didn't hesitate. His hand flew through the air and cracked against her face with a slap that echoed off the walls. "Of course it was me," he roared. "Who the hell else would it be?" Lena staggered backward, clutching her cheek, mascara bleeding into her tears. She turned toward me now, a desperate, crumbling mess. "That call earlier," she sobbed, "when I got the news, was that Robert too?" I looked her in the eye, no pity left. "It's always been Robert," I said flatly. "I told you that. Over and over again." Robert cut in, furious. "You think I was playing games? My wife is dying and you're busy with mind games?" He stepped forward, towering over her, his voice hoarse with rage. "You want a damn IOU?" he barked. "Fine. I'm here. I'll write the damn thing. Now where's the money?" Lena was spinning, frantic. I don't have it," she stammered. "I cut up the card. I thought it was his mom. What do we do? Can the bank open at night? Can we fix it?" Robert snapped. "You think a bank stays open at midnight?" he shouted, grabbing her by the shoulders and shaking her. Lena broke down completely. "I didn't know it was Marianne," she wailed. "If I'd known it was Mom, I swear, I would have wired the money immediately. I would have done anything. But it was too late. Too much had been said. Too many choices had been made. In the chaos, none of us noticed the elevator had gone back down. We didn't see the doors close. We didn't hear them open again. We were too busy unraveling, each of us. And somewhere above a hospital bed, a woman named Marianne was fighting for her life, while her daughter had nearly let her die over a lie she told herself. The elevator dinged again. And this time, 2 uniformed officers stepped out. The second they saw Robert grabbing Lena, they moved fast, rushing forward and pinning him to the wall. "Hands where we can see them," one of them barked. Robert was stunned. He stumbled back, shocked, arms raised as they gripped his shoulders. "Wait, what? What the hell? Who called the police?" he shouted, his voice caught between fury and disbelief. "I didn't flinch. Your daughter did." Robert froze. His face went pale, like the blood had drained straight from his body. Lena scrambled to her feet, eyes wide with panic. "Robert. No, no, I didn't mean you," she cried. "I thought it was Noah's father coming, not you. I didn't mean for them to arrest you." But it was too late. The officers weren't letting go. She spun toward me, her face contorted with rage and desperation. "You bastard," she hissed. "I'm not doing this with you right now. I'm going to the hospital, now. And you," she jabbed a trembling finger at me, "you better start calling every damn person you know. I don't care who it is. Borrow what you can. And tomorrow morning, you're pulling the wedding fund from the bank and paying for Marianne's care." I blinked. Then calmly asked, "Why?" She stopped. That single word knocked the air out of her fury. "What?" she asked, disoriented. "Why should I?" I repeated. "We agreed we're not getting married. Why would my wedding fund be used to save your mother? You said it yourself, if the one dying was Marianne, you'd never ask me to help. You said you'd never drag me down." Lena stared at me, stunned. Like she was just now realizing that I'd been listening all along. That her own words had weight. And now they were crashing down on her. She stumbled for something, anything, to say. "What do you want from me?" she whispered. "An apology? Is that it? Fine. I'm sorry. There. I apologized. Happy now?" I laughed. Not out of amusement, but from the sheer absurdity of it all. She stood there, trembling, as if her apology was gold. As if it could unbreak everything she'd shattered. How delusional did someone have to be to think their sorry was worth the price of integrity? I shook my head slowly, each word precise, cutting through the room like ice. "I used to believe that marriage meant weathering the storm together," I said. "That love was about standing side by side, through the worst of it. But tonight, when my parents could have been dying, your first instinct was to cut me loose." I looked her dead in the eye. "You don't touch my wedding fund. You don't deserve it." Lena's composure cracked. "No, wait, officers, please, let him go, he didn't mean it," she cried, gesturing frantically to the cop still holding Robert. "Dad, please, say something. Marianne's still waiting, we have to help her." But Robert's face was flushed red with rage and shame. He couldn't speak. He didn't need to. The silence said it all. When he finally did open his mouth, his voice was low, broken. "You looked him in the eye," he said slowly, turning toward his daughter. "And you told him that if it were his mother, you'd need a signed IOU first? That you wouldn't lift a finger until he promised to pay you back?" Tears streamed down Lena's face. "I know I was wrong," she sobbed. "Please, Dad, I get it now. I'll change, I'll fix it. Please say something. Help me." But Robert just clenched his fists, trembling. "Help you?" he said, his voice shaking. "Help you? After what you did? After what you said?" His voice cracked. "There's nothing I can say, Lena. No words that won't make me look like a fool standing next to you." Lena collapsed back, pale and shaking, like the floor had vanished beneath her. And I knew, in that moment, that Robert saw it clearly now. Not just the betrayal. Not just the lie. But the person his daughter had become. He gently pushed her away from him, as if even her touch made him sick. Then he looked at her one last time, haunted, heartbroken. And turned to leave. "Dad!" Lena cried out, panicked. "What about the money? What about Mom? What do we do?" Robert didn't stop walking. "I'll borrow what I can," he growled. "Hell, I'll mortgage the house if I have to. But don't you dare call me Dad." His voice cut like steel. "I didn't raise a monster like you." And then he walked out, leaving behind the daughter he no longer recognized, the wedding that would never happen, and the ruins of a family too broken to pretend anymore. The air in the room turned suffocating. Lena no longer cared about the officers, or the smashed apartment, or her carefully staged victimhood. She scrambled to her feet, rushed over, and grabbed my arm in a panic. "Noah," she cried, clinging to me, "just give me the money. Please. Just lend it to me, I swear I'll pay you back. My mom is going to die." I looked down at her. My voice was cold. Detached. And my mom's life didn't count for anything? She flinched. Then, desperate, she blurted out, "You're a man. Can't you be the bigger person for once?" I laughed. Not out of joy, but in disbelief. The same stunned laughter you give when someone burns down your house and then asks if they can stay the night. Wasn't I already being generous? I said, my voice steady. Didn't I try? She stared at me, silent now. No words. She had none. She'd spent them all earlier, weaponized them. And now they'd turned against her. Suddenly she turned and dashed back into the apartment. A moment later, she came out holding the broken pieces of the bank card. The same card she had cut in half with such conviction. The same one she'd destroyed while spitting venom about not being a human ATM. Now she was frantically trying to press the pieces together, aligning the jagged edges like she could will the card back to life. But the chip was dead. Split clean. No swipe. No tap. No salvation. Too late, she realized her rage had cut through more than plastic. All she had left was her personal savings, barely 20 grand. Enough to get a hospital to start treatment, but not nearly enough to carry it through. Like throwing a glass of water on a burning building. Still, she ran. Tears streaming down her face, breath ragged, she bolted out the door and down the hallway, toward the car, toward the hospital. Because the truth was cruel. Yes, the hospital would stabilize her mother. They'd keep her breathing. They'd do what the law demanded. But when it came time to choose between standard pain meds and advanced organ support, between life-sustaining machines and bare-bones survival, money would speak. And the woman who might have been saved with the swipe of a card, might now die because of one pair of scissors. In the end, it was just me, and the cops, left standing in the wreckage. Shards of glass across the floor. A toppled cabinet. A woman's sobs still echoing down the hallway. I explained everything, from start to finish. The officers listened quietly, their faces gradually shifting from suspicion to solemn understanding. One of them, an older guy with gray at the temples, stepped forward and gently patted me on the shoulder. "You've been through hell," he said, sighing. "But let this be the end of it. You deserve better than someone who'd leave you behind in your darkest hour." I nodded. After they left, I spent the next few hours restoring order, sweeping up glass, setting the furniture upright, wiping away the chaos she'd tried to leave behind. Then I called a locksmith. By the time the sun rose, the locks had been changed. Every copy of that old key? Useless. I gathered all of Lena's belongings. Her shoes, her toiletries, her stack of skincare products, the drawer she claimed in my closet. Every trace of her. I packed it all and left it neatly by the door. Just like we agreed in the prenup, had we married, the house would have become shared property. But we didn't. She made it clear she wasn't marrying me. That meant the house, and the life inside it, was no longer hers to enter. And I was right to change the locks. Because later that evening, just as the apartment finally began to feel like mine again, I heard it, the rattle of a key in the door. Then silence. Then the panic. Lena. She began banging on the door, her voice cracking, her sobs raw. Noah, please, my savings are gone. I just spoke to the doctor, they said the next stage of treatment's going to cost way more than we thought. Please, I tried to withdraw cash but the ATM has a daily limit, only $2,000. I'm losing my mind. I walked to the door and stood on the other side. I didn't open it. My voice was steady. Unmoved. You're pathetic. She fell silent. I told you I wouldn't help you, I said. But you still went and scraped out $2,000. You think that's dignity? Or desperation? There was only breathing on the other side of the door now, shaky, erratic. You promised, I said. You looked me in the eye and promised, if it was your mother lying on the table, you'd never drag me down with you. I paused. And now? You're banging on my door like that promise never existed. I leaned closer, lowered my voice. You want help? I said. Call a lawyer. And then I stepped away. Because when someone makes it clear they'd rather watch your family suffer than lift a finger. You don't open the door for them when they're finally desperate enough to understand what love costs. She was sobbing now, completely unraveling. I don't have any other options, she wailed from the hallway. I'm begging you. I'll get down on my knees if I have to. Just tell me, what do I have to do for you to forgive me? I let out a long breath. Not because I pitied her, but because I remembered. I remembered the moment she cut that card in half, her face cold, her voice proud, as if she'd just won something. And now? Now she was scraping the bottom of a barrel she herself had set on fire. If she hadn't destroyed the card in a fit of spite, she could have easily transferred the funds before Jordan filed the emergency freeze with the court. Hell, she still had one last shot. Bring the broken card to the bank in the morning. Request an emergency withdrawal in person. But even that door had been closed. We lived in a small town. Not exactly bustling with branches and anonymity. And I'd already spoken to my mother. The moment she heard what happened, she'd been furious. Absolutely livid. She called up her closest friends from church, women with decades of social clout, who knew every bank manager in town by name. Tomorrow morning, they'd be at every branch before the doors even opened. Waiting. Smiling politely. Standing firm. And if Lena showed up? Those sweet-looking old ladies would turn into stone-faced guardians, calmly reminding the staff of bank policies, whispering just loud enough for a manager to hear. They wouldn't need to shout. They wouldn't need to threaten. They'd make the bank so uncomfortable, no one would dare release a dime without a court ruling. I turned toward the door. My voice was low. From this day forward, I said, you and I are done. There's nothing left. She sobbed louder, her voice breaking. You're really choosing to throw us away, she cried. After everything? This is how it ends? You're cutting off our love like it was nothing? I didn't answer right away. Because in truth, there was nothing to cut off. She had already severed it. She had cut it in half, just like that card. Right through the chip. Right through the trust. Right through the future we'd planned. And now? Now she finally knew what it meant to destroy something you can't tape back together. So I gave her the only answer she deserved. One final sentence. One sharp, clean break. You made your choice, I said. And now I'm making mine. She was still crying in the hallway, but I had long since stopped listening. I slipped in my earbuds. Turned up the volume. Booted up Fortnite. That night, my only priority was claiming a victory royale. I sprawled across the couch, phone in hand, headphones locked in, the outside world fading into nothing. No screaming. No guilt. No broken promises clawing at the door. Just me. Alone. Peaceful. I played until 2 in the morning. Didn't even realize how fast the hours had flown. It had been a long time since I felt this free. I'd nearly forgotten what it was like, to live without being constantly weighed down by someone else's drama. Thanks to the wedding prep, I'd cashed in all my vacation days early. Which meant the next few days were completely, gloriously mine. And I planned to enjoy every second. At 2:30, once I was sure Lena was no longer crying outside, or had at least left to cry somewhere else, I got up and made myself a steak. Medium rare. Garlic butter. I pulled out a bottle of red from the wine cabinet, uncorked it with the casual flair of a man who didn't owe anyone anything anymore, and sat at the table like a king in exile. Every bite of that steak tasted like justice. As I chewed, I thought back to those months of penny pinching and quiet sacrifice, scraping together the wedding fund while Lena browsed honeymoon resorts on Pinterest. And now? Here I was, gaming into the night, sipping wine, eating like a prince, with zero guilt. Maybe this wasn't the disaster I thought it was. Maybe, just maybe, it was divine intervention. Meanwhile, Lena's life was unraveling. After removing her Uncle Dennis from the iMessage group like some kind of digital tyrant, she'd had to crawl back and beg him for money. But word travels fast in a small town, especially when your own mother is dying and you refuse to help. Especially when your excuse was, but it was my wedding fund. People talked. And the things they said weren't kind. Ungrateful. Snake. White-eyed wolf. She tried to explain herself. But what explanation could ever fix that image? Because now everyone knew the truth. When she thought her fiancé's mother was dying, she clutched her wallet like it was a life raft. No apology could erase that. Her reputation? Gone. Her future? Changed. And me? I poured another glass of wine. Smiled. And let the peace settle in. The very next morning, Jordan filed the emergency motion with the court. Given the urgency, and the undeniable chaos that had unfolded, the court responded swiftly. The wedding fund was officially frozen. Not a dollar more could be touched. To save Marianne's life, Robert had to sell his house. It was the only way. But in the end, it worked. Marianne survived. Though when she finally came to, and heard what her daughter had done, refusing to help, cutting the card, manipulating the family chat, nearly letting her die over a fund meant for celebration, she nearly had a second health crisis from sheer rage. She kicked Lena out of the hospital room on the spot. Told her not to come back. Said she'd brought shame to the entire family. The court case went just as smoothly. The judge, a man with children of his own, didn't need much convincing. Once he saw the timeline, how Lena had twisted everything, the emotional cruelty, the staged drama, the destruction of the fund, he didn't hesitate. Full return. Every dollar of the wedding fund was ordered back into my name. And when I saw her again at the hearing, sitting across from me in that sterile courtroom, I barely recognized her. She looked withered. Like she'd aged 10 years in 2 weeks. Her clothes hung awkwardly on her. Her skin was dull, eyes puffy. The courtroom light wasn't kind to regret. After the judge read the verdict, she turned to me. Tears streaking down her face. "Now nobody wants me," she said quietly. "Everyone looks at me like I'm poison. Are you happy now? Is this what you wanted?" Her voice trembled. "You planned it all, didn't you? Waited until I hit rock bottom, so that when I begged to come back, you could reject me. Keep the money. Marry me for free, right? I blinked. Stared at her. And then I laughed, not out of joy, but disbelief. I leaned in, just slightly, and said the only thing that could possibly meet her madness head-on. You might want to get your head checked. Seriously. Might be a tumor pressing on the part that handles logic.